7:01, so we will go ahead and call to order our meeting. First, is there a request to remove items from the consent agenda?
Nothing from me, thanks. Nothing from me.
7A.
7A.
That's gonna be your note.
Okay.
Just, I'll get a
That's your
name
note.
tag.
That's your
7A.
nickname, 7A. Okay, 7A.
7B, page 20.
Okay,
I'm fine.
okay, wonderful. Thank you. And is there a motion to approve the order of items for the regular and consent agendas?
So moved, oh, sorry.
Go right ahead.
Oh, thank you, so moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I just have a quick verbal report. I want to mention that today is National Voter Registration Day. And I mention it here tonight because we are very excited to be an early voting site. This will be our first year doing that, and this early voting will open up Saturday, October 28th, and it will take place for 9 consecutive days, which means that it will close Sunday, November 5th. There is no voting on Monday the 6th, and then election day will be Tuesday the 7th.
You're talking next year for these dates, right?
No, this
No,
year.
this
Oh,
is
there's
this
an
year.
election this year?
It's
Just for the school.
Yes,
Oh, the school, that's right.
that
yes.
is all that is on.
Yes, yes.
So far, correct? So far,
I
that's
think
all
that's
we
pretty
are
much,
aware of until us. in-
Yeah, cause they passed
Yeah,
the
they passed their deadline.
deadline is in
Yeah.
August, so.
So, so it's really exciting, it's really fantastic that it's another opportunity for us to showcase our library as the hub of our township and a place for our community, and so fantastic, we're excited, I'm excited. I might vote early just to be able to do it at the library.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and now I will turn it over to Tara for a director's report.
Thank you. Well, I'm very happy to be here today. I'm feeling much
Good.
better.
We are
Thank you
happy.
for your support through my trials and tribulations.
Not that we didn't love Catherine.
You just like that song from Jesus.
We're happy to have you both.
I'm especially happy that Tara is back.
No, but Catherine, you did a wonderful job.
Yes.
Amazing.
So, yes.
It was
Yes.
terrific.
I've had a good teacher.
And we missed you.
I missed you too. Well, I'm happy to report that the installation of the new door access system is going really well. They started that in earnest on September 11th. So all the hardware on the doors is being changed out. So far, the lower level is finished, adult services is finished, systems and youth services is being worked on this week. Lyndon and Paul and Steve have been working really hard because there's something that has to be done to all of our badges in order for them to work on the new system. So it's been a lot of communication, coordination, reviewing of spreadsheets and making sure everybody's working, but it's going really well. I anticipate that this phase of the project will be finished by the end of the month, maybe. And then we're moving on to the second phase, which is fixing the study rooms, and we have some a different kind of software to implement for those study rooms, and that's gonna take some messaging to our patrons, because they will be the ones reserving those rooms, and the way they access them will be different once
So
this.
what is it now, like a code they put in?
They
or-
just use their library card.
Oh, gotcha,
And it's RFID, but soon it will be a kiosk or the website or their mobile phones where they can make a reservation.
Okay.
So I hope that's done by the end of November. Those are our target dates right now, but it's going very well. The library will participate in Bloomfield Township's open house, as I mentioned. That's on Sunday, October 1st. So if you feel like dropping by the township's campus, you can get another stress ball. I'm happy to report that our chamber music concert series will be back again this season. The first one is December 1st at 7 p.m. and that's again with the University of Michigan School of Music, Theater and Dance, sponsored of course by our generous friends of the library. Well, I've already talked about this donation of yearbooks from one of our residents, Jim Wolf. Like I said, he was a counselor at Bloomfield Hills Andover. He's a 1960 graduate of Bloomfield Hills Andover High School. And yeah, we're very happy to receive this a donation and we'll integrate it into our collection and Deb will do that. A few months ago, Judy had inquired about adding a sign to the Timberlake Lone Pine intersection, asking that people don't block that intersection when Lone Pine gets backed up. Well, the road commission said that they reviewed our request. Do not block intersection signage is intended to be utilized at locations where the intersection is located within 50 feet of the stop bar of a signalized intersection. Timberlake Drive does not meet this criteria. Requested signage will not be installed at this time.
It's getting worse and worse and worse.
But thank you for inquiring.
Yeah, I asked about possibly, cause the man who was in front of me was trying to make a left and we must have waited 15 minutes. I'm like, just move over so the rest of us, cause I was gonna turn right. And so I asked, I wondered if the easement was big enough to make a right turn lane, cause you get caught at that particular hour where, the traffic just stops and they don't leave any gap open. So, but it's just one of life's frustrations.
Traffic. Another one of life's frustrations is that the lower level experienced some flooding on Thursday night of August 24th. This is when we had a big thunderstorm around like 11 at night. There was some flooding that evening. Hugo responded early in the morning, on Friday morning around 5 a.m. he came. The water had all receded at that time, but it did cover almost the whole lower level.
What?
Yeah, it was a bad one.
Any way to tell how deep it was?
No, because it was all gone by the time he got here.
Did it require remediation of any sort?
He cleaned, and then our cleaning company brought those big giant dehumidifiers and fans, and we cleaned it as best we could, and by the end of the weekend, it was all dried up. So, just in time for us to talk to Joe Christopher on October 12th about the lower level water problem.
Yes.
So, we're still working toward that. Speaking of that, a reminder about those two meetings, one on October 4th at 2 p.m. We'll be hearing from Richard Renault and Chris Schlaps about our roof issues. And I will prepare a memo to give some background on what has happened to date, because I know some of you are coming in the middle of that project. And then on October 12th at 9 a.m., we'll be hearing from Joe Christopher about the lower level water issue, and Spalding DeDecker has a proposal that I will share with you all, and then he will be able to entertain your questions, and we can talk more about that at the meeting. Also at that meeting, you'll be hearing from Jenna Walker, who has met with our leadership team and Catherine and I, and has come up with a really lovely plan and proposal for how to attack all of our space needs that we have. So this is all these areas we've identified that need refurbishment or reimagining. Jenna helped us kind of come up with an overarching plan to attack that, which I think sets us up nicely for this millage ask that we're gonna talk about later in the meeting. And then I just wanna remind everybody that I'm out of town starting this Thursday, and I'll be back on Saturday the 30th. I'll have my cell phone with me, and AT&T will allow all messages through, so if you need me, let me know, but Catherine will be in charge.
And you're taking shopping lists, right?
Sure. If you'd like to pay for my extra suitcase. That's my report.
Just might.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda items?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Well, it is now time for our call to the public.
The only thing I have,
And that's you, Deb.
yeah, the only thing I have on behalf of SSC is we have booked Andiamo's for the
Ooh.
holiday party,
The one at Maple and Telegram?
Yes.
Wow.
which is the first.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give them a
And what's the
whirl.
date?
Wait, yeah, do we have a date?
December 3rd,
All right.
6 p.m.
Is there gonna be a theme?
No, we're planning just to have a trivia along with dinner,
Ooh.
a specific theme.
Fun. Thank you.
I think Keith wants to be on SOC and come up.
Well,
Yeah, feel free.
I mean, you had a theme last year.
We did.
Only a few people actually did anything about it, but
Well,
And we've
Smo
had
was the
movies,
best
we were at the
dressed.
movie theaters a couple times. The trivia is very competitive.
Yeah. I
Pick
remember.
a team.
No phones. Can't Google the answer.
You cannot. It's based on honesty.
Especially if you're on Judy's team.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Okay.
I'll do it surreptitiously.
Hey.
Thank you so much, Deb. We don't have any unfinished business, but we do have some new business tonight. And first up is we are going to discuss our library audit, and so I will introduce you all to Alan Panter. And you can take it away.
Great, thank you. Good evening.
Thank you to Alan and his team for conducting the field work for the audit and crunching all the numbers and putting it all together. And thank you, of course, to Monica too, who joined us halfway through the year, but handled this audit like a champ. So I just sort of like sat there and listened to people as they talked to me about, you guys did the heavy lifting. So turn it over to you, Alan, to present the audit.
Great, thank you. As Danny said, my name is Alan Panter. I'm a partner at Yo and Yo. I'm here to present the audit. The materials that you have, we passed them out this evening, hot off the presses. We have the bound audited financial statement. And we have the stapled governance letter. And there's also my presentation for this evening. So this is what I plan to follow this evening as I kind of walk you through a few of the things that we need to talk about. So thank you, I'm good with those now. All right. So the audit went very well, as usual. This was, as Tara said, it was Monica's first year. But she did a great job of making all the adjustments that have to be made, pulling together all the documentation that we need. That's no small task. Especially when it's your first time doing it. But everything was ready when we arrived, and we got all the information that we needed, and we were able to complete our procedures efficiently. So I'd like to thank everyone that we worked with, but especially Monica and Tara. There were others too, but those were the two that we talked with the most. So thank you very much for that. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
So our audit included an examination of the financial reporting process, internal controls, and also certain aspects of legal compliance. So the state of Michigan wants us to do a few things in terms of making sure that you're in compliance with certain aspects of state statutes. So we do that. We look at internal controls, we look at financial reporting, we look at compliance. I'm pleased to report that we have no written audit findings this year and no suggestions for improvement. So when we go through that study of internal control, compliance, and financial reporting, we're obligated to report in writing when we find certain things. We have historically not had too many issues out here at Bloomfield Township Public Library, but that is probably not the majority of my client base. So most of the time we have findings and issues that we have to talk about. So that is definitely something for the library to be proud of, that you continue to receive clean audits. So that is something that reflects very positively on the library and the board. So my plan for this evening is to give you some key takeaways from the audit and to answer any questions that you have. So again, I'll be following the presentation document. So the first page of the presentation references the independent auditor's report. The purpose of an audit is to give you an opinion on your financial statements, not to detect fraud, and not to give assurance on internal control. So it's a very important concept about what it is that we're here to do. We're here to give you an opinion on your financial statements, which is what you see referenced here. So this slide discusses our opinion on your financial statements. We're giving what's called an unmodified or clean opinion. That is the best opinion you can get. And it means a couple of things. It means, first of all, the statements are formatted in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So in other words, everything that's supposed to be in the statements is there. And also based on the procedures that we perform, the numbers are good. So unmodified opinion is definitely what you want to see, okay? All right, so the next page is the balance sheet. I could have put governmental funds balance sheet, but this is just the general fund. For this purpose of my discussion tonight, we're just going to talk about the general fund. So this is a snapshot, a picture as of a point in time as of March 31st, 2023. The biggest thing that I would like to discuss here is fund balance. So towards the bottom of the page, you can see total fund balance, $13,982,067. You can see that's broken down into 3 different components. There's committed for cash flow, assigned, and unassigned. The amount that's committed for cash flow, that is 8 months of your operating budget, and reflects the fact that your tax levy is in December, which is before your fiscal year end. So those tax dollars are collected through December, January, March. So you've collected most of your dollars. You haven't settled with the county as of March 31st. That happens in April, May timeframe, where you settle with the county. So at March 31st, you guys have most of your money or all of your money to operate through the year. You do receive some other minor things, state aid and those sorts of things, penal fines, investment income, those sorts of things come in on a regular basis, but really the property taxes are the lion's share of the income. So that commitment for cash flow, that just shows the amount that you're gonna need out of the cash flow to finance your operations for the rest of the year, or until the next tax levy. The next one down is the assigned. So assigned basically is an expression of intent. Okay, so it means that you intend to use those funds for certain purposes. In this case, you have 3 things that are in that assigned. So there's the net OPEB liability. So the entire net OPEB liability is reserved in fund balance there, so that's set aside. Compensated absences, so there are amounts that are due to employees in there as well, so that is also reserved in the fund balance. And capital improvement, there's about $3.4 million of that 6.6 that is dedicated to capital improvement. And then the unassigned, that's what's left over. So you take the bottom line amount of almost 14 million, you subtract off the committed, you subtract off the assigned, and you're left with the unassigned. So we measure the adequacy of fund balance as a percentage of annual expenditures. So how much do we have? How much have we had in the past? How much should we have? How does that compare to other governmental entities? The library is at about 198% of annual expenditures. Last year was about 146%. So the fund balance went up this year due to higher revenues and lower expenditures, and we'll talk about that a little more on the next slide. But the library has a healthy fund balance that allows for some flexibility and a cushion against bad economic times, money for capital improvement, funding of employee benefit costs, and the like. All right. Oops. Okay, next page. Statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. So again, this is just the general fund, and this shows how fund balance changed. So I'd like to kind of skip down to the 3rd number up from the bottom, net change in fund balance. There's an increase in fund balance this year of just a little bit less than $1.6 million. How did we get there? Total revenues, you can see the first total down there is $8,673,648. Last year that was about 7.8 million. So revenues are up about 867,000, about 11%. That came from 2 places. First of all, there's $420,000 increase in property taxes, so that's just the increase in your taxable value in the township. And there's also $425,000 more of investment returns this year. So you can see there's $132,000, but last year it was almost $300,000 loss. So there's about a $425,000 swing there in the revenues. On the expenditure side, you can see total expenditures, $7,078,123. That is down about 1.4 million, about 17%. Most of that is capital. So you can see where it says capital outlay was 721,000. Last year that was 2.4 million. So there were some significant capital projects last year. And so this year was really more back to what I would call a little bit more normal in terms of capital outlay. There were some other categories that increased incrementally, but nothing that's really remarkable in terms of the fluctuations in the expenditures. All adds up to an increase in the fund balance, about 1.6 million. Okay, I have a few graphs, and these will go pretty quick. The first one is a 5-year comparison of general fund revenues, expenditures, and fund balance. So I like to kind of break these down and kind of look at the revenues, and then I'll look at the expenditures, and then I'll look at the fund balance. So the revenues, you can see we're going up, and then they bounced down a little bit in 2022. I would call that because of the investment loss, and then up again this year. Expenditures, you can see 2019, 2020, and 2022 are on the higher side. 2019 was when you funded the OPEB trust. 2020 and 2022 were capital related. And then 2021 and 2023, there were none of those things in there. So you can see the expenditures are a little lower. So the fund balance has gone down 3 out of 5 years on this graph. Although you can see where it is now, just below 14 million. All right, next page. This one I guess is kind of timely given that you're considering a resolution for renewal of your property tax. Of course, 10 years ago, the voters approved a Headley override, and that kicked in 2015, which you can see pretty clearly on this graph. So this graph shows your property tax revenues over the last 10 years, and it also shows your fund balance plotted in the line above that. So you can see what the property taxes have done to your fund balance. Okay, and then the next one gets into expenditures. So this is a 5-year graph of the 4 largest types of expenditures. So we took personnel, library materials and services, facilities and equipment, other, or capital outlay, and then other. Just everything else was other. So you can see personnel is the largest expenditure source, and the big spike there in 2019, that was the funding the OPEB trust. So that was that's how that shows up. Library materials and services are fairly stable, as are facilities and equipment. The capital outlay, you can see the spikes there in 2020 and 2022. And then I didn't write down what the other was in 2019, but that's kind of spiked up there too. But that was 4 years ago, so I probably told you about it 4 times. All right, so there's the expenditure graph. The last thing I wanted to touch on is the governance letter. The next slide is the governance letter. So that is this letter here, and it's 3 pages, which is very telling in and of itself, because when we have findings and issues, they go in this letter, and the letter can become much longer. So when you see a 3-page governance letter, you know there's really very little there in terms of anything significant being communicated. But it is required communication that we issue with every audit. It's addressed to management and the board of directors, so the people at this table. As I said, most of it's a form letter, but it does communicate several important issues related to the audit. The letter discloses any estimates used in preparing the financial statements, any new accounting standards. There was one this year that was considered, GASB 87 for leases, but we found that there were no material leases. There's some informational items. If we had any difficulties or disagreements, those would be documented here, which of course we had none of that. Any misstatements we noted, so in other words, if we found anything wrong, we would disclose that in this letter. And of course, as I said before, we would disclose any management comments that we had, and we don't have any of those, so. Any questions? That's all I have.
Any questions for Alan?
Just one point, the finance committee had a separate meeting on this, where I wouldn't say an exhaustive or painful detail went through it, but we did go through it quite a bit. One slide I would point out is this number 4, when we get back to millage.
Yeah.
Maybe you keep this slide
Exactly.
open.
I thought you might like that one.
Any other questions for Alan?
No, thank you for explaining this.
Yeah, your charts are great.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Alan. Thank you to your
Thank you very
team.
much.
Yes.
Thank you. We really appreciate you guys. You guys are great to work with, and we really appreciate it.
Are you, now I see Auburn Hills, did you go from Lansing to Auburn Hills, is that?
Oh, I used to live in Lansing, but now I'm based in Auburn Hills. I live in Clarkston now.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I
Yeah.
knew you had to commute somehow, so that was really.
Yeah, now I'm
Gotcha.
not as far. I'm just going right up Telegraph to
Okay.
Clarkston now. I don't have to drive to East Lansing anymore.
Gotcha.
That was about 5 years ago I moved. So.
Yeah.
And I
Thank
joined
you.
the board of my library up there
I
in
was just
Clarkston.
gonna
Yeah, it's a
mention
nice
that.
library.
We're on
Yeah,
board
so-
there.
Yeah, I sit in your
Good for
chair.
you.
Yeah.
Well, it's good, and it's good
Yeah.
for me to kind of see that side of
Sure,
the library because I do
it's a nice library.
audit several libraries.
And I just saw that you guys are doing an RFP for auditors.
We are, and as you imagine, I'm gonna be involved with that, and I have some thoughts about it.
I bet you do.
I'm helping my fellow board members better understand auditing and financial things.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good resource.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
yeah, so,
Well, there is a motion or an action item,
Yes,
if
what
you
page
all-
is that on?
what page is it? Page 85, I believe.
Oh.
I'm sorry, 36, because that's where the memo is.
86?
36.
36.
I have it, Danny, do you wanna read it?
Yes, please.
Okay, I move to accept the fiscal year 2022-2023 audit report as presented and place on file.
Is there a second?
And I second.
Thank you.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Alan.
all right, thank you. I'll let you
Thank you.
finish the rest of your meeting.
Good evening.
So,
Thank you
Thanks very
to
much.
the finance, the members of the finance committee for going through everything.
Thanks, Alan.
Yes.
Such a fine food.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Alan.
Oh, bye.
We are going to move on to the millage renewal proposal. And in our packet, there's information on page 86.
Thank you.
Yes,
That was a big packet.
it was a
Yeah.
big package.
Yes.
A lot of it was the audit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tara, do you want to kick us off here?
Yes, I would love to. All right, well,
what page?
Well, I don't know, I
86.
have
82.
86 here,
82?
but maybe,
Okay.
It says 11B up at the top.
you know, we
Mine is
Yes.
86.
we changed, yes, it is, yep, mine's 82.
Mine's 86.
Huh.
I guess it's just how you downloaded it,
Oh, maybe.
because I'm on file, whatever that file thing is,
Oh, could be, yeah.
because I keep all my.
I'm 82.
All right, well, it's 11B.
uh,
Okay. All right, well, I really wanted to present this rate, ballot language, a timeline to all of you tied up in a bow, because you're gonna have hard work to campaign for this and also campaign for your seats, hoping that you all are going to run again in 2024. So here it is. The memo that I put in the packet gives you a little history of all of the millage rates that the library has. I hope that was helpful to you. As you know, we have 3 millage rates that this library uses to operate. 2 of them were voted in perpetuity, so they're always there. They do get rolled back each year by Headley, as you saw in the chart that I attached to this memo. In 2014, the Board of Trustees decided that we needed to ask the voters to override that Headley rollback and bump us back up to 2 mills. Because in 2008, during the housing crisis, property taxes dropped very deeply, and our revenue dropped at that time as well. Many cuts were made, mostly on the behind the scenes, but we were starting to creep out into making the patrons feel that pain. We were closing on certain days, closing on Sundays and summers. Luckily, the Board of Trustees had the vision to ask for that millage, and the voters supported us and approved it for 10 years. And now here we are, and that millage is expiring.
I bet that 10 years went by fast for those of you who are here.
It really did.
Yeah.
Age it on.
Of course not.
So that, and you see that there was a nice healthy margin that 2014 millage passed by, so we had strong support that year. And you can see in this history that we haven't always had that support, because in 2002, when we tried to get that building bond passed, that first was rejected, and it took a couple of years to come back and get that to pass. Incidentally, that building bond will expire this year as well, so that there will be no more payments made on that. They will be paid in full as of May of 2024. So that would be an easing on the taxpayers.
Is there a way to is there a way to communicate that? Because I would think that that would cause some confusion for folks, and that's a really good message.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would suggest
say.
that that be part of our messaging.
Cause I think there's oftentimes fatigue, especially with millages that like, oh, you're just coming back and asking
Yes.
for again and again.
Yes.
But I do think that we have the, COVID had some good things, and I think that people realize that what we did, the service that we provided, when so many things were shut down and from movies to books to recordings, whatever,
Curbside
I keep
Curbside
coming back
service.
to that one image
of
of
hundreds of
so many materials being
Yeah.
waiting
Right.
for curbside
Right, yeah.
tables, yes.
And the people, the staff who went out and delivered that,
Yep.
because it was a scary time, you didn't know, so you're bringing these books, and so I think that in that sense, we were, and every time we have an outage, from all these storms, this is like the oasis in the sea, or whatever that statement is, I don't know what it
We're the
is.
center of the world,
Yes,
Well, we're the
basically.
center of Bloomfield Township for sure.
that we are.
Well, this December, we'll see the final tax payment from the collection of that millage rate, which is now rolled back to 0.5047. And that, this year, that will be a little over $2.4 million, which is 27% of our library's total revenue. So it's a significant chunk of our revenues. If we lost that revenue, we would have to make some cuts. We would have some very difficult conversations. We would not be able to do all the things that we want to do, like fix the water problem in the lower level, redress our parking lot, refurbish all these spaces around the library that we want to refurbish, keep up with all the technology changes that are happening, and maintain our strong IT infrastructure, which is just always coming under different and more attacks and requires a lot of money to keep up with. So that would be significant to us. Monica and I spent a lot of time analyzing our revenues and our expenditures, and the tax rates. The taxable value has risen over the last 10 years by an average of 3.32%, which has helped us. That has kept that revenue, as you've seen in Alan's charts, going up.
That's this part.
Yeah.
That's the fund balance, this is the taxable income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Operational expenses have also gone up, as everybody knows. Inflation is going up. Everything just costs more, and there's no sign that that's ever going to reverse. As I've said, building needs just keep occurring, and they become more and more expensive. So even though our revenue is growing, our expenses are also growing. And we've had some good financial times. We're probably due for something bad to happen in the next couple of years, I know. And as Alan said, we want to have cushions against those bad times. We never know what might happen in the next 10 years. So I propose that we ask our voters to renew our millage at the current rate of 0.5047. It keeps us on the same trajectory that we're on, which has been a good one. It will allow us to keep pace with our expenditures and our operating expenses. It will also put money into our fund balance to keep that growing so we can continue to fully fund that OPEB, have all of those committed categories still committed, and do all the projects that we want to do, like fix the lower level water, parking lot, and all the spaces. Also, this is a service organization, and 70% of our budget goes to paid personnel. It takes great people to provide great service. And so we want to remain competitive with our wages and our benefits package, so we need to maintain that expenditure as well. I'm recommending we do this for another 10 years, see what happens at that time, at that current rate of 0.5047. And if you approve, there's a resolution to read. So let's talk about it.
Just so that I understand, the 0.5047 is the current rate.
Yes.
Which is rolled all the way, like this is as low as it would go.
No, not necessarily.
But for the current millage, right? So that we will just stay, it is a renewal, but we're not asking to renew at the same rate at which we did last time.
Correct, you're correct, yes. We,
Wait, I don't
I don't understand that either.
If you go to, if you go forward 2 slides to 85 of 104, you'll see the current millage, which is 185. The materials here are excellent, by the way, thank you for this, it's so easy to understand.
good.
But this number could be as high as 2.
It could be as high as 2, yes,
And we
by
are,
law.
if you go back a page, you all have done a nice job of pointing out, we're not asking for as much as we could.
That's what I'm saying, is that, so it's not a true renewal to the same amount as last time.
Correct.
It is a renewal to the current amount, which has been rolled back this many, 10 is it rolled back annually?
Well, my question is, what is,
So
what's
10.
this number gonna be if your recommendation is accepted? So what's the next, we're at 18502, what would it be, 18502 again?
You know, it will stay 18502 for another year because in this next fiscal year, there's no Headley rollback. So this millage rate will remain stable.
Even
if
if,
voters-
but what if this is approved?
If this is approved, it'll stay the
goes-
same.
It doesn't go to 19?
No,
Yeah, okay.
Why
it-
is there no Headley rollback?
because the rate of inflation is higher than the rate of growth.
Lest we not understand Headley.
Right.
Don't ask me to explain.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
got it,
Right.
okay.
Next you wanna know about Gatsby, come on.
Right.
But
save it.
it will continue to
Yes.
decrease as a result of Headley rollbacks
Yes.
annually.
I can only assume that this year will be the only year that
Right.
it's not gonna roll back.
So our marketing message would be, we're not asking for $1 more than you're already providing, even though we could.
At the lowest amount of this last millage, right? So that what people are paying
Yes,
today.
but nobody knows Headley, you know what I mean? That's a
Right, but the point is that we are not asking for the full amount that we asked for last time.
Right,
And we paid off the other one.
right.
So perhaps
a lot of
word
good
renewal
news.
is not a good word, because renewal in most people's mind is gonna be that it's gonna be
Same old same.
same old, same old.
So then we have to, figure out, is it would people be more deterred by the idea of a new millage or a
No.
renewal?
Maybe like a replacement
Well,
of,
Our attorney recommended the term
Renewal.
renewal.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
I like renewal because it's not new.
It's what I'm
Right.
saying.
yeah.
New frightens me.
Yeah, new
Keith, you've been
does.
trying to say
No new
something.
taxes.
I'm just wondering, how many mills are now saved by the fact that the bonds are paid off?
So that's not based on mills, that's based on some other.
But it's some equivalent amount.
Oh, I
right?
see, so we could figure that out and say,
Well, you could say that, yeah. So equivalently, we are no longer gonna have to spend whatever is the equivalent amount
Yeah.
in mills.
I can know, yeah, I can
Good-
find out how much
good
that
way to-
payment has been.
Okay.
So it's actually a reduction because we've been good stewards of the money and paid back what we needed to. And now we're asking for a lower percentage of renewal. I don't know how to say it.
Right.
Additionally, library staff plan to propose to you all that we eliminate fines from library service, so that would be another benefit to the taxpayers.
I'm definitely in favor of that, but you've known that for the last year, so.
I look at those fines every month and I go, that's really.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on that.
Why don't we just give the books away,
Yeah, I
lest you not be clear what my position is
Well-
on this.
I know.
Keep in mind that
I'm
people
on
would
the
still be
fence.
billed, if they never returned a book, and that fines and
After a certain amount of
I
time,
say, what is
not just
never?
forever.
right,
Yeah.
and that fines and fees line in our budget includes fees as well, so it's meeting room rentals, copy machines, so that's not.
So I
Oh,
wonder if that might be broken down.
Yes.
So that we can have a clear understanding
Yes,
of what those numbers
Yes.
actually are.
yes.
That would be very helpful.
Can we go back to this for a second?
Yeah.
We have $14 million in fund balance. I know we need to do the parking lot, I know the basement's flooding. that's what, 4 million, so that takes you down to 10. But it is pretty high. This is if I was against this,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
this is our problem.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that.
Well, there's also the 8-month.
Right, that, and
Right.
that's,
That's, I think, the
that we
biggest.
have to hold on
expensive
to.
vacation
And
is
OPEB.
That we have
And-
to hold on to 8 months
of
of
operating
operating
expenses.
expenses.
As
And
we
the
always have though.
And OPEB,
Yes.
right?
And our OPEB obligation.
The OPEB obligation.
Yeah.
But this tends to suggest that we always,
That we're sitting on
we
a
need
lot
less
of money.
money than we collect, so we've
Right.
been accumulating every year. Now, you could argue that if there's ever a catastrophic damage to the building for whatever reason, you have the money in place to handle that, so.
And we had the same situation when we asked for this in 2014. We had to explain that, yeah, it looks like we've got this big fund balance, but it's committed because
Well, the
we're
selling
doing
point
what
was
we're
the
supposed to do.
OPEB,
That's what,
because that was what the turning point, and that man who owns Downtown
Yes.
Magazine, cause
Yeah.
he came in with a negative attitude and he was not going to support it, and then that completely changed.
Yeah, and the same kind of PR will
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
be put out there.
I would say the majority of the people are probably going to say, this is a place that I need to go to, and we're talking, if you look at the whole thing, and that I keep equating to Starbucks. Starbucks keeps going up, and one coffee is $8 or $9, and if you do that 3 or 4 times a week, you're almost paying for your monthly tax anyway. So I think the majority of people are gonna say, this is a place, what does this place offer me? As opposed to, oh my God, how much are the taxes gonna be? Because we're taxed on everything, gas, if you smoke, cigarettes, alcohol, groceries, clothes, everything. And then your income tax and your property tax, and so.
But to feel like we're not going up as
Right.
opposed to everything else going
Right.
up or asking for new,
Right.
I think is the selling point. And I also think the selling point is these funds are held and the majority of our funds are spent on personnel, which is what gives you the services that you want.
Right.
And we want the best for you.
And, in reading through the comments, every month, the comments that we receive from patrons, there are always glowing reviews
Right.
Yes.
for our staff.
Yes.
And we know how great they are, but it's lovely to see that our patrons appreciate them as well.
But I mean, good schools, good library, increase your property value. So I mean,
It's
all
good for
those things
society.
it's a big circle. You have to support the community you live in. Therefore, then, when you go to sell your house, it's going to be higher price.
and as somebody mentioned earlier, we can say, we're an early voting site, we're providing this basic democratic activity here at this library. We're a shelter, a muster place during storms and bad weather, as long as our electricity stays on. So there's a lot we do for the community, and we hope that they support that.
We're the, what do we call the high school?
Reunification.
Yes.
Reunification site for the high school.
Reunification site.
Our programming, free,
Oh, yeah.
so, yeah.
I'd love it if we could consider another campaign like we did around Valentine's Day where we were
The
putting in
library
people's,
lovers.
yes,
Oh,
we were putting in people's
We have the
comments.
share your story thing I saw,
I think
so that's
if
happening.
we can somehow share stories and connect them to the services that we're offering into the community, I think that really resonated with people, I hope so, it resonated with me. I'd love to see us quietly bring that back again.
That'd be a great campaign idea.
Something like the alphabet, using the alphabet, each letter has something that this offers.
Here you go, that's fun.
Can I ask about this resolution?
Yeah.
We're approving all of this. So the millage language, there's a question mark in here, which I assume is just a typo, but the 2.5 million, do we have to say that?
It was in the previous one as well. I'm assuming.
It seems like a lightning rod, like if you say, we're just renewing what you've already given us and we're providing these value added services, blah, blah, blah. But then when you say, and we're gonna collect 2.5 million of money, well, suddenly people are like, 2.5 million? And this is just a political, PR question,
Yeah.
I don't have an answer, but it'd be, Is this, when we vote on this resolution, is this the language that is now set in stone?
Well, this is what was given to me by an attorney, so I would say it's pretty set in stone. We could, I guess I could take this back to her with any changes, any suggestions, and have her
Is
review it.
anybody, I would
I
take
don't
it out,
remember
but I
ever
don't know.
seeing a lump sum amount
They're
that would
always
be
like
collected.
this,
Really?
yes.
I remember the mills
If you
and
ever look at millage proposals for anything, they always show a dollar figure of what the millage proposal will. This may be a standard kind of
I
thing,
think it is.
yeah.
There's something to be said for the transparency of it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's what it is, yeah.
Well, you have to remember, yes, we're being transparent, but what we're not saying in here is, yes, 2.5 million, but we're also receiving some 1.7 some odd mils in perpetuity. So the library doesn't exist on $2.5 million a year, which is kind of, maybe some people who don't know might think that.
Right.
So there's
Right,
actually
it's-
$8 to
it's
$9
a
million a
small
year, so.
percentage of our
Yeah,
overall
so we don't
budget.
say that, but we don't, because we don't need to say that.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
yes,
Well, it's a third of our budget, which,
yes.
Substantial.
yeah.
It is.
Is it possible, again, going back to the point that I was bringing up before, is it possible to say something about the fact that the other thing is ending? Or would that confuse the wording here?
I think in this ballot language, no,
You
but in our
cannot.
marketing efforts,
Okay.
definitely,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
The only thing that gives me pause in this language is using the date of February 27th. I think we should change that to presidential primary because I think that date is in flux still.
Yeah.
But I want it to be the presidential primary for Michigan, whether that's gonna be on February 27th, or I think the other date is March 4th.
My other question is, when you say a period of 10 years, we will not go back for more money for 10 years?
No,
Okay, explain that to me if you can.
I think you can set whatever amount of time you want, like we could have said 20 years, 30 years, 40 years.
But what I'm saying, if you say 10 years, there's gonna be 10 years of rollback, so we're gonna wait 10 years before we go back?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, but I guess it
Thankfully, I think
depends.
we
If
did
another
it in
major
14,
recession
Yeah,
happens.
Unless
last
you
time it's 14, okay.
Went back and asked for more
Okay,
and
got
a
it.
different millage.
Yeah.
Sort of
If everything
paid off.
goes well, yes, we would wait.
We would wait 10 years,
Yeah.
okay.
Unless it did, Terry, you had said at one point, hopefully not, that it didn't pass, then we
Right.
go again right
Yes.
away.
Yes,
I'm good with this.
I don't see any reason why it wouldn't pass. I just, considering how well in what was your number from 2014? It passed overwhelmingly.
It was a
seems
big
like.
margin.
Dude, I lived in Troy when they shut that library down. Believe me, I can see why it wouldn't pass.
yeah, I mean, you never know, you never know. I will mention one more thing, based on my experience when we got the 2014 election, and Joan and Judy might be able to talk about this too, I thought we had to go before the Township Board and ask for their approval, but we do not. Our attorney
I don't remember we ever did that.
and Martin Brook, and the Township's attorney agreed that we're a legal, separate legal entity, so we do not need their approval. Because we do have such a good courteous relationship with the Township, I want them to be involved and know what's going
Sure.
on. So Danny and I are planning to go to their October 23rd meeting, and we'll be an informational item on their agenda, just to say, hey, we're doing this thing, we'd love to have your support. Send the residents to us if they have any questions about it.
Right, so we'll be asking for support rather than approval.
Sure, that's great. Yeah, we did not go. And remember, we were an accelerated
Yes.
speed. I mean, we had
Yes.
fewer than 3 months to get this all done. We just got in under
And
the wire.
that's another thing to consider when you look at the overwhelming approval. You consider that they did that in just a few months.
We
and
had
got
to
that
apply
done.
by sometime in August, and we came up with it in the July board meeting. And to get the voting, and and then we went from there, so. But
So if you all approve this tonight, we'll remain on that Township agenda item. we'll make sure we get this filed by I think it's December 5th filing deadline.
And when will they
And
know
systems
the
go.
actual date for the February?
Yeah.
Because it makes it difficult, any signs we
know,
make,
to make
so,
any-
yeah.
yeah.
So, what we're approving, is the resolution or, and the language? Okay.
Is there somebody that would be
I'm happy,
interested and willing to read the?
I'm sorry, the whole thing?
Yeah.
Whereas,
The-
just
the-
pretend it's a proclamation, we can fill something.
Wait, where is it starting?
Right below the section where it says whereas, right there. So you read all the whereas and that's it.
You can use this
I've already made it bigger, so thank you very much. Whereas, yes?
We have to start with the
Oh,
action.
I move, I move to approve the following resolution. Whereas the Bloomfield Township Public Library is a township library organized under 1877 PA 164, serving the residents of the Charter Township of Bloomfield Township, and whereas, as required by Section 10C of Act 164, the library board may determine by resolution that if a previously authorized millage was approved for a specific number of years, the millage should be renewed, and whereas voters in the township approved the library's millage, which will result in a levy of 0.5047 mil in 2023, and that the millage expires in 2023, and whereas the library board determines that it is in the best interest and welfare of the library and its residents that revenue be authorized for the purpose of operating, maintaining, and equipping the Bloomfield Township Public Library, and for all other library purposes authorized by law purposes. Therefore, the library has determined to request from voters a 3-year millage renewal of 0.5047 mil, beginning with the December 2024 levy, and
It should be 10 years.
Yeah.
It is.
10-year.
yes, strike 3-year, replace 10-year.
Yes.
Do you need me to go back and read any more of that?
Nope, you
Okay.
just said it.
Whereas the library board has determined that placing the millage request on the ballot at the February 27, 2024 election,
Say the presidential primary.
or the date of the presidential primary,
Perfect.
is in the best interests of the health, safety, and welfare of the township residents. And whereas the question of renewing the millage beginning with the 2023 levy shall be placed on the ballot at the election occurring on the presidential primary date in early 2024. Therefore, the Library Board of the Bloomfield Township Public Library, Oakland County, Michigan resolves the following. 1. The Library Board of the Bloomfield Township Public Library has determined that the millage necessary for the support and maintenance of the library must be renewed. 2. To that end, the Library Board resolves to approve the ballot language attached as Exhibit A, and resolves and certifies that the ballot language attached as Exhibit A shall be placed on the ballot at the presidential primary election in early 2024. 3. The library board president or treasurer is authorized and directed to promptly submit this resolution and the ballot language attached as Exhibit A to the clerk of the Charter Township of Bloomfield and the Oakland County clerk, so that the attached millage proposal may be presented to voters at the presidential primary in early 2024 election. Any resolution inconsistent with this resolution is hereby rescinded. I, the undersigned, the duly qualified and acting secretary of the Bloomfield Township Public Library, Oakland County, Michigan, do hereby certify that the foregoing is a true and complete copy of certain proceedings taken by the library board of said library at a meeting held on September 19th, 2023.
Which Joan will sign that at the end of this meeting.
Thank you for reading.
Thank you so much for reading
Good
that.
job.
And so nicely.
Do I
you
need
please
to read the Exhibit A?
Yeah, please.
Exhibit A, Charter Township of Bloomfield Library Millage Renewal Proposal. Shall the Charter Township of Bloomfield, Oakland County, Michigan, be authorized to levy a renewal of the previously voted increase in the tax limitation which expires in 2023 in an amount not to exceed 0.5047 mil, paren 5047 cents on each $1,000 of taxable value, and parens, against all taxable property within the township for a period of 10 years, 2024 to 2033 inclusive, for the purpose of operating, maintaining, and equipping the Bloomfield Township Public Library and for all other library purposes authorized by law. Question.
Shane pointed that out.
The estimate of the revenue that the township will collect in the first year of levy in 2024, if the millage is approved, is approximately $2,500,000. The revenue from this millage levy will be dispersed to the Bloomfield Township Public Library. Yes or no?
So the question mark actually makes sense, right? Because the question shall.
Oh, it's a question, yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Right.
that's the
Long
whole thing is
sentence,
a
Yeah.
but it's a question.
long question, yes, by law,
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you very much.
yes.
Thank you, Joy.
Okay, and thank you for making that motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, and do we have any other discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yay, thank you so much.
This is exciting.
It's really exciting.
No, it is, it'll be fun.
I think I need
It'll be fun.
Yes.
Just remember, there's so many places that we touch besides schools, that's our places of faith, retirement homes,
Oh,
communities. We have so many different things here in the township that we can touch and talk to people, so.
So yeah,
There was such a nice letter in the comments, or it was an email, I think, that you received from someone who was being served.
either library by, I think it was library by mail.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just how much that meant to
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
person.
Well, thank you so much. When I'm back from my trip, we'll talk about next steps.
It's a big hurdle.
Yes.
It's doable.
Yep, totally. We can do it.
Thank you very much. We are going to move on to discuss the bank signatories.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that on page 90, but
Who knows what it is?
yeah, we might just.
Mine's on 90 as well.
Okay.
Yes, so because of the change in, yeah, it's not right for me either. It's page 86 in my PDF packet, 11C.
Yes.
Because of the change in the township treasurer, we have to redo the bank signatories. So these are the signatures that are on our bank account, specifically our Flagstar and RBC account that's managed through Schwartz and Company. So anytime there's a change in the officers of this board, the staff that are signatories, or the township folks, we have to go through this exercise. So we're adding Michael Shostak, and then it was suggested by the township officials to add Dina Mondak, who is the Bloomfield Township Deputy Clerk. When we take the checks up after our board meeting, they have to have 2 people sign, and just because of, people coming and going and people are busy, it's great to have another person available to do that. And Dina is so wonderful and trustworthy, and I don't know why we didn't add her before, frankly.
And then also the deputy treasurer.
Yeah, she was already on
Oh,
here
it's the same
before,
person.
yeah. But I was assured that the deputies can do everything that the clerk and treasurer can do except vote at township meetings, so I'm happy to add Dina to this list and broaden the pool of people who can sign the checks so we can get those out faster and get our bills paid. So if you agree with all that, there is another resolution.
Okay,
To
do you have
read.
that?
I'd be happy to read it.
Thank you so much.
Motion to approve any item, oh, where am I reading?
I've got it if you want me to read it.
No, you've read
You
so much.
just want
I
to
have
read,
it.
Joe.
What?
I was, it's called Joe.
I can do,
I
I
got
can
it.
read it.
I move to approve the
Oh, okay.
resolution authorizing signatures, including facsimile signatures for banking services on behalf of Bloomfield Township Public Library as presented effective September 19, 2023.
Second.
Thank you.
Wonderful, all in favor?
I'm gonna put you on commercials.
Thank you very much.
You could be on drug
Liability.
Your eyes might fall out.
language.
Or auction, if we have another gala, we need an auctioneer, we really.
Yeah, that's right.
So Danny and Joan, before you leave, we need you to sign this resolution and the other usual things we need to
Great.
sign.
Thank you.
All right, excellent.
And now it is time for discussion of items removed from the consent agenda. And first up is 7A.
7A.
That's me. Okay, on
He's a proud
14 of
7A.
104, Farmington Community Library, $1,100 for the Creative Bug Database. What's that?
Creative Bug Database is a database of arts and crafts tutorials.
Okay, and why does that library have this and we
Because
don't?
we purchase it through, no, we have it, but we purchase it through Metronet. We've negotiated a group discount.
So it's like a rebill? Okay. And
Yeah, there
then-
was something else that we had several months ago that
Yeah.
was through there, I couldn't
Same
figure out
thing,
what.
yeah. Farmington Community Library is the fiduciary agent for
There we
Metronet, and
Got
so
it.
they hold all the money and then.
Yeah, I'm with it. Then EBSCO, EBSCO Information Services, 5,400. What's that?
That's another database.
Okay, we've talked before, I'd love to see the aggregate database spend in some like presentable format, not today, but
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will get that.
that would be it. That's, I'm all done.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Joy, did you have something?
I had nothing,
Oh,
no.
then
I think it was-
I had,
Utilities?
on my page 27B. I realized that, okay, so we have a gift fund that's not at the community foundation. We have 3 items
What page are you on?
7B, the asset
7B.
allocation summary?
on 20. Yes,
Okay.
and I see that the Isabel Charnoff gift matures in February, so what would happen to that? Where, would we use it or would that just go into another fund? What would happen to that when it matures?
Great question. I do
Which
not
is it?
know. 50,000?
Yeah.
I will say that we spent a little time with Isabel and she loved flowers. So maybe with some of the improvements that we wanna do outside, if we have to spend the monies, it might go to that.
Okay.
And to anything, if we do any water remediation where we have to have additional plant material, that probably would be a great place for it to
okay,
be spent. Because
okay.
it's serving 2 purposes, it's remediating the issue we have and also beautifying what is already stunning.
So maybe
Obviously-
when it matures, we should cash it in and then use it for.
Well, obviously we should, I'm being Shane here, we should get it out of a
Yeah.
0.03% annual yield.
Yeah.
he's so
Yeah.
proud, he's so
Um,
proud right now.
I told Shane that we're gonna get to that investment,
Yes.
that account in the next fiscal year. Let's get through this millage in our budget
Right.
cycle and then we'll do that.
Okay,
But thanks
what
for
are the-
asking that and thanks for those suggestions. I think that's a great
Okay.
thing to do with those.
what are the other 2 gift funds? Huntington and then Fifth Third,
It's just the checking account where that money goes and where the checks are written out of.
just a general,
Yeah.
just general gift fund, okay.
So all the money that the friends give us, we put in that bank account and then we write checks that have been approved for purchases from those gifts from those bank accounts.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything else removed from the consent agenda to discuss?
I just wanted to say, cheers for Hugo saving us.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, I was
Yeah,
glad that
on the secondary meter.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was great to see.
Wait, what?
In my written report, I mentioned that Hugo heard from Noah at the Township that we saved about $6,000 by having our irrigation system on the secondary water meter. So we're not paying the sewer rate and the water rate.
So we had always had the second meter? Okay, I know we were discussing it
Yeah.
several months ago.
That's why I put it in there, because I remember it had come up before.
Gotcha, okay.
And so you can see it makes a significant difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
You know, it's another example of how we spend our,
Stewardship.
spend our money wisely. Okay, now may I have a motion to approve the items removed from the consent agenda?
Move it.
I will second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And now it's time for other. So if anybody has any other.
I'm the
Now is
bearer
your
of
time.
bad news.
Oh.
We unfortunately heard yesterday that one of our board members who served on this board for about 2 years, Joe Balick, passed away. He had lung cancer and had suffered from that for 4 years. And he was a wonderful man. He was only on he actually, I believe, now that I figured it out, was before your time, just before, but was when Isabel, who was well known, she just was a beautiful soul. She had taken quite a fall and then was still on the board, but her family lived in Brooklyn, and then they realized that she was no longer going to be able, so he was interviewed and served, and then he and his wife decided to move to Huntington Woods. So his time here was quite short, but I got to know him better because then he started in Huntington, started working or volunteering at Oakland Literacy Council, and his son is involved in some organization in Detroit that we became part and parcel with, and so there used to
Summer
be.
in the city.
Yes, that is it,
I
yeah, and the
remember.
truck was, he would park his truck here, cause he had no place to go, so he will certainly be missed, and it's, I don't wanna hear any more about our past,
Yeah.
Trustees,
yeah. So anyway, and I don't know, I just thought he was a very nice man, and he was quite a loss, so, anyway.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you have anything to share?
Just to say, the Friends had another banner month in sales, second highest overall. It was a record for August, $6,230.
Just gangbusters.
And again, just the number of boxes donated to other organizations in need. In August alone, 31 boxes that went
Wow.
all over the state, and some very local too. Anyway.
In fact, one of our staff members in administration, her daughter is a teacher on the west side of the state in, like a underfunded school district. They don't really have a library in their school, and she has been the happy recipient. She teaches English. She's been receiving books from their friends, and her daughter reported that she's got a library of like 1,500 books now available to her students. And she shares it with another teacher as well. And that's almost all from the friends.
Yeah. May I suggest, I'm going to give a couple to the Friends. I serve on the Village Club Foundation where we go along and we have 49 different foundations looking for funds, and 2 of them I think are inspirational in the sense they were started by just concerned mothers and they're in Detroit, but where they put the books are in laundromats, children's books, because you can't leave the laundromat without coming back with either your clothes gone or, something. So
you have to
these children have to sit there and the TV is usually on sports, and nothing that they're engaged in, and those books can go home with the children. So not only do they read the books, but it's their way of giving books. So I'm gonna give that name to the Friends.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant.
That's
Thank
terrific.
you for that. And as we always praise our Friends of the Library, I want to mention that the National Friends of the Library Week is coming up October 15th through the 21st, and this board has always recognized the Friends during that week, and I'm sure we'll find a way to do that. And the library has always recognized the Friends during that week, and I know that we'll put up some posters and information about all the things that the Friends do, and some information about where the money that the Friends raise goes, so that people can appreciate that as much as we do.
To that end, and I believe you put it in your report, but also the current wish list was approved, just under $15,000. So again, so many really incredible things are furthered through the Friends that
I believe Sandy Edwards got a cake last year, or cupcakes, or cookies, was it cookies?
Well, a few years ago, yeah.
Was it a few years ago?
Yeah. But last year I just got a bunch of snacks and
Oh, gotcha.
set up a bunch of stuff for them on a
Oh, nice.
Wednesday morning, which is when they do a lot of their work down there. So perhaps we'll do something similar.
is there a specific date, or did you say it's a?
The
week.
National Friends of the Library Week will take place this year, October 15th through the 21st. And when is our next board meeting?
Our next board meeting is
October
the
17th. So yes,
That
perhaps
week.
on that evening, we'll bring a card that everybody could sign.
Have we ever thought of a proclamation though? I don't know if it,
Good.
I mean, I don't know if they're celebrating, it'd probably be,
For a milestone.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe a milestone
yeah,
year instead of doing that, but let's keep it in
And
our,
we can find out if
Yeah.
there's a milestone coming up,
yeah.
so that we can honor them.
Actually, next year will be the library, next year will be the library's 60th anniversary.
I know, and also the bond for all the, so I think we should do something in May.
Yeah.
Speaking of next month, I have a conflict.
So you won't be here?
Nobody else can not be here.
Nobody else
You're
will
gonna
be
get
here.
that
Yeah.
in before anybody else.
Great.
What day?
We said that's the 17th.
October 17th.
So Shane won't be here, so one other person can be gone.
I'll be here.
What about the October
Good on
4th?
those two.
You guys,
Yeah.
I'll be here.
okay.
And I will not
But-
be here, cause I have to deliver food.
Oh,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we do
I'm
those
sorry.
through some type of audio or visual video link? The
Um,
4th and the 12th?
I can do that. You want that option for yourself, you mean?
I definitely need that for
Sure.
the 4th and the 12th, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I'll take it
Okay.
if it's, I mean,
I'll send it
I don't think
out.
it detracts from the meeting. Zoom works, saves me a half hour.
It
As long as you're not working out across.
I'll be down in Dearborn those days.
Okay.
Like my screen.
And don't you have a
Yes, it
conflict
was,
with
now that I
one?
think about it, I was
For
gonna
what?
be
I
in
can't remember which
Iowa.
one it was.
It was the 12th.
The 12th, okay.
I also do, but I'm trying to,
I'm trying to get out of it too.
I was gonna say that, but the camera's on, so.
Yep, I'm,
And you're not available on.
I don't know.
mine doesn't
I'm
make
not-
any
it does not
difference,
be
but
on
I am
screen, no.
trying to.
I don't
Yes.
know if I'll be out of town, but I might be here.
There's no voting at these meetings, but they're
Right.
important
Information.
Right.
And we're quorum, so we have to have this in an open meeting.
Right, if everybody's there, yeah.
Yeah.
But the issue is the voting.
Correct.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah, we can't do that.
exactly, yeah.
That's why we have to be here for this meeting.
Yes.
Right.
These informational meetings,
It's okay.
Because we're not voting.
Yes.
yeah.
You guys are getting the hang of it.
Yeah, one other thing, and Terry, you may know about this, my friend's parents are at Fox Run, and she gave me this Novi magazine because they have a section on the Novi Library.
Oh.
And of course, I was glad to see our app because of course, their app. This is the summer edition, but you know, it's nice because they have their programs and so on and so forth.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's all about Novi, I mean, all their activities and everything, it's really extensive.
There's a couple of publications that cover Bloomfield, Birmingham, one's called Thrive.
Scene is one.
Yeah.
Scene, what's that other one?
Sometimes I
The chamber has their community guide.
Yeah, and we always have a little section in there.
I just sent out the copy for that.
Thank you, thanks for sharing that. And if there is no other, then we can adjourn the meeting and our next scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, October 17th. We will be discussing the annual policy review. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
We're gonna have to